You know,
Some stories you come across?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay, so
No,
new
it's
stories all the time.
yeah. Well, and often old stories. I mean, the latest one I've done is a story that I heard. I played in a village. I don't think I can mention the village because it's they still don't talk about this story in the village. So it's a kind of it's a 19th century tale of murder, and it's still there's still a kind of taboo, you know, in the village about this because the families still live there, the two families, and so I wrote a song about that. But I've had to change names to protect the guilty parties, you know. So and then there's a Dick Turpin one. I played in the birthplace of Dick Turpin, so I wrote one. The guy who now owns the venue, who's very proud of the fact that Dick Turpin was born there, asked me to. He was sort of a challenge, really. He said, "Why don't you write a song about the real Dick Turpin? Because there are songs about Dick Turpin, but they celebrate him as a hero. I mean, one of them is actually called Dick Turpin Hero. I think it's called Turpin Hero, something like that." So I did. I sort of did some research, and I like doing research anyway. I do a bit of journalism, I do a bit of writing, so I've always enjoyed that. I wrote one about the First World War soldier Harry Farr, who was executed for desertion, and by doing that, I get lots of feedback from people. You know, I get lots of feedback from people for different reasons. I mean, the interesting thing about the Harry Farr one was I got a lot of response from people suffering from post-traumatic disorder.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Post-traumatic
Post-traumatic
stress. Sorry.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they could relate to that because of the stress that not of course it didn't affect Harry because he was executed, but it affected his family over the years, you know, over 90 years. They just had to live with that sort of shame.
And he was one of many, so lots of people
absolutely. Yeah, so, you know, I like doing that. It's kind of, I feel like I'm kind of doing something useful as well.
That's like you said earlier about almost like the balladeer travelling around. Travelling around.
I think it's that tradition. It's that tradition, really. You know, I'm not essentially a folk singer. I play in the folk style possibly, but I don't sing folk songs. I don't sing old-fashioned. You know, I don't sing the Cecil Sharp collections and traditional folk music necessarily. But I'm kind of updating those stories, if you like. You know, so I'm kind of carrying on the tradition.
Can I ask you about the technical side of it now? What do you actually need when you perform? So sound requirements, or what you like best to use?
I like to keep the options as minimal as possible. So, you know, I don't go out with any pedals. I don't use any guitar pedals or effects at all. And that's really because I can't cope with it. You know, mentally and technically I can't cope with it. I like to keep it as simple and as if I get the chance to play in a place without a PA, you know, the hall will take it. I love doing that. I love doing that. So, but obviously, it's not possible in most places. So I bought very early on. I bought this PA, which is called a phonic PA. It's an 8-channel, 400-watt PA possibly, and it's because there was two of us, it suited our needs. It had all the channels we needed. It's very simple. It's just it's an amplifier and mixer box, simple box that just has the power and the controls, you know, and it's kind of idiot-proof really. It's got a reverb unit, which kind of which means that you have your own echo inbuilt. And for a while, I do sort of know about stuff like that. I do have my own studio and stuff, but I think when I'm out doing this, I don't really, you know, if I had the money, I would pay somebody to do that for me. Because I don't, because you know, this isn't lucrative enough to employ people. So I do it myself, and I just like to keep it as simple as I can, really. So the reverb unit is really easy. It's got things like small hall, medium hall, large hall, you know, room, small room, big room, and so it kind of almost tells you what to do. And then I have a guitar. Both of my guitars have inbuilt pickups. So I have a Laravel, which is playing up today, which has a Bags pickup, which I bought in America. I bought the guitar in America, and I have a tenor guitar, which has a Lawrence soundhole pickup, which I've found and I've had for years, and I don't even know where I got it from. But I've found it and I've hooked it onto the tenor guitar, and it seems to work. So.
Is that your favourite guitar?
No, the Larrabee is my favourite guitar. Yeah,
What
yeah.
a shame it's been on.
That's one that's playing up, yeah. So I've got another one. I've got a Bird, which is a guitar I bought at auction for £30, and it's a 1960s Japanese guitar, very rare guitar, I think, and not particularly valuable because it's rare, but that has a headway pickup. I'm a sponsor of a company called Headway, a small English company, but they're fantastic pickups, and I've used those on most of my guitars. The only reason I have a bags in the Larrabee is because it came with it, and it seems to suit the guitar, so I haven't changed it over.
And you've recorded 2 albums?
No, I've recorded more.
More?
Yeah.
2 recently? 2 in this last few years?
I think 6 in my own name. And Dragonfly, which is the latest one, was recorded in 2008. The one before that is Still, which is probably one you were thinking of, which is 2006. Short Stories in 2004, which was the one that kind of brought me back again from the abyss. And then before that, The Goodbye Hat in 96, and before that, Reg Meuross with the Flamingos in 91. And then I've done others. I was with a duo called the Panic Brothers for a while. We did a lot of television stuff. We did Friday Night Live and all that stuff. So some people might know us from there. We did an album as well called Innovate.
Where did you record them? Was it all different places? And if so, would you have a favourite recording studio for some reason?
I record now. I'm doing a new album now, and I record with my drummer, who's a guy called Roy Dodds, and he has an Apple Mac, and he uses a Logic system, and we go around the country. You know, with Dragonfly, we recorded in a lot of different halls where we were playing. If we found a hall that was nice, then we'd set up the equipment, and he just uses a Neumann microphone for the vocals, and then he uses I think it's called a PTA, which is like a mic pickup which clips onto the guitar. It's great. It's really great. And it's kind of transformed our recording.
So is that recording when you're playing live?
No, I don't do live recordings. No, we just use the halls, or we do it in his kitchen. He has a kitchen. He has a lovely house in London, and we set up in there. And then, if we have to do drums, or we try to do as much as live as possible. So if we're playing with bass, for instance, we'll do, like this last weekend, we played drums, bass and acoustic guitar all at once, and just sit in different parts of the house. And Roy will sit there, with a machine, and he'll sort of work the machine with one. I've actually seen him, kind of working the machine with one hand and playing percussion with the other hand. Because I really love the way he plays. He was with a band called Fairground Attraction, his band. And he just has a lovely feel, so I find that I play better if I'm playing to his percussion, even if we don't use it, which often we don't. We will record it separately. I'll just play to that, and then sometimes we'll dump the percussion, but there's no spill over to the voice and the guitar. But it just makes me play better. It makes me feel better about what I'm doing. It kind of, I like to play to the rhythm.
The other thing you're saying, it seems to me that it's all about the personal interaction. So you really like the intimacy of Village Hall, and then not so much the bureaucracy of a larger venue. And then you're enjoying the recording because it's quite intimate. It's with someone you know, and it's in a place you know, and you're relating to him at the time.
It is. It's very much that. Yeah. We did. I've had opportunities with this next album. I've been offered deals, where I have to go into different studios. And I've never liked the studio environment, never. I mean, I've recorded in lots of different studios in London, all over the country, really, and in TV studios and stuff like that. And I've never liked that environment. I've never found it particularly supportive. It's a bit like I was saying about the bureaucracy with the halls and stuff, the theatres. You don't feel that kind of support, or I don't. Some people love it. I mean, I know people who could live in studios. They love the whole atmosphere of studios, and I don't like it. I would much rather be with somebody I feel comfortable with, and I always do a much better performance that way. I always play much better. And I told you I do a bit of journalism, and recently I write for a magazine called Acoustic Magazine. And I did an interview with Pete Townsend, who's a sort of an old bit of a family friend. And I spent a day with him at his house recently, and we were talking about this. He's got his own studio in his house, and he's got all the equipment he wants, but a lot of it is kind of ancient. It's really old sort of valve equipment and stuff like that. and he's found the stuff he really loves, you know.